On this edition of City Profile, I'll be talking with Mayor Gayle Kaler. Please stay with us. Hello and welcome to City Profile. I'm Tom Butler, and it is my pleasure today to have on the set with me Mayor Gayle Kaler. This is our first time to sit down and talk with you being mayor. You were elected last year, started serving in January of this year, so just over 6 months. How's it going?
Well, I always characterize it a little bit like putting your dinner in a blender, and you start out on stir, and then you work up to whip. So I'm almost a whip.
Getting the whip, huh?
Because as you get into your term a little bit more, it starts out a little slow, and you decide what you want to do as a mayor. And I've done several of those things with the Mayor's Book Club and the Mayor's Art Club, two things that are very important to me, to work with children, to encourage reading, and to promote the arts here in Paducah. But then after you start a few of those projects, you realize that more things come up, and that's the challenge, I think, of being mayor or commissioner, being an elected official, is all the things that just come up that you have to deal with, along with all of the other things concerning that job. So we've had several issues come up recently that we're working diligently on. So it gets a little busier.
Well, I want to talk about some of those issues, but first let's just talk a little bit about your history in Paducah. How many terms were you a city commissioner?
I was a city commissioner for 6 years. That's 3 terms.
And what, in the 6 months you've been mayor, what has been the biggest difference between being a commissioner and being the mayor?
Being mayor, people really look to you. I mean, you're the leader, and they want you to be that leader. And I guess I feel more of a feeling of responsibility as mayor, more so than I had as commissioner. Because when I was commissioner, I could always push it off on the mayor if I had to. But when you're the mayor, it pretty well stops there. Okay. Now, we are a city manager form of government. So, I have the city manager there. He works closely with me. I work closely with him. And he manages the city on a day-to-day basis. But I think people still, in Paducah especially, look to the mayor to be the leader and to be the buck stops here, as Truman said.
Well, I think that maybe some people in our audience don't really understand the type of arrangement, the city manager type of government that we have. But the city commission and the mayor set policy. Right. And the city manager carries out that policy and runs the day-to-day operations of the city.
He does the recommendations to us for hiring. We do not personally interview or hire people. We take his recommendations usually. If we have a question, we do raise those questions, but that's one of his job functions, to prepare the budget and to do all the day-to-day managing of the city. He has the authority to spend up to $20,000 without putting it through as an ordinance, and there are things that come up that he has that authority.
Okay. What advice have you given to the new commissioners? You have 2 brand new commissioners on the commission this term. Have they come to you for advice, and if so, what have you told them?
Commissioner Wilson is fabulous. She's full of energy, and now she's the director at the Chamber of Commerce. And Sandra is, let's get it done now. Let's get it done now. And I'm going, let me pull you down just a little bit, because many times you have to work the problem. You have to work the situation. And but she's great. Commissioner Rhodes, I told him, I said, you have to realize what it's like to be a commissioner. We can't solve all the problems our first term in. He's very enthusiastic and passionate about the things that he has brought forward. And we want people like that. That's what we want on the commission, are people that speak their mind, that have their positions, but yet work closely, because we need to work as a team. We have to work as a team to make things happen in Paducah. And compromise is very important for all of us.
I don't think that's unusual for new commissioners to not really understand that you can't come in and fix something in one day or sometimes even in one term. So that seems to be a theme that talked to Commissioner Abraham earlier, and that was what his recollection of his first term was. It was he got elected because he ran because he was upset with the way some things were going. He got elected, he wanted to fix it that day, and found out that just didn't happen. And so,
but it takes all those different personalities, and each one of us have something that's close to us that we feel is important for the community, and to bring those issues forward with the city manager and the mayor and the other commissioners, and talk about them and come to a compromise on them. That's what it's all about.
You mentioned that there are several issues that you're dealing with right now. What's occupying your time and your thinking as we're doing this interview?
Well, the most important thing that we're facing right now is the dance is almost over at USEC and at the Department of Energy, the plant. We call it USEC, but really USEC leases that plant from the Department of Energy. And that's about to come to an end. There's still details that have to be worked out. We have formed a group that meets on Mondays, and we form strategies. We want to all speak in one voice when we go to our senators and congressmen. The governor is closely involved with this process also, and our wonderful delegation, Congressman Whitfield, has been invaluable, and Corey Hicks in his office. They've worked endless hours to help us here, Senator McConnell and Senator Paul. And we meet with their field reps on that, in that committee also. So we need for the Secretary of Energy and for the senators and the congressmen to work to get us those cleanup dollars. The model they used in Portsmouth, they put those workers to work the next day. They left one company and went right into a cleanup company. Right now we don't, because of sequestration and not having a budget since 2009. There's no cleanup money right now. They say there will be some in 2014. That's too late. We can't let that plant close down, lock the gate, and wait for next year.
But your understanding is that they are obligated to do the cleanup?
They are, but they can put it off for 20 years.
Oh, so they have some leeway and
we don't want that to happen.
Right.
No,
I mean, it sounds awful.
No. I mean, we're demanding that they give us the cleanup dollars, that they support GE moving here to Paducah, getting a permit to build a plant here in Paducah for the laser enrichment. And those cleanup dollars, and some of the different sites have gotten economic development money to help with the reuse of properties that can be cleaned up. Most of that property will only be used by nuclear-related companies. You know, no one else is going to go out there, but nuclear-related companies can use that property once it's cleaned up.
What, I know you don't have a crystal ball, but what's your feeling? Are you confident that the DOE is going to do what we think they should do in a timely manner, or do you think it's going to end up in litigation? What do you think's going to happen?
I'm not sure they know what they want to do or what they're going to do, and that's what we're asking. We want you to make a decision and tell us what your plans are for Paducah.
And they missed a deadline already to do something this, in June.
June the 15th. We're having trouble. We can't, it's just like we run up against a brick wall when we talk about what's going on here, what's going to happen. I think it makes us wonder, do they really know what they're going to do? They're just not forthcoming about it. So we need to have more open, honest conversations.
Do you think that one of the big sticking points is I don't want to say conflict, but the adversarial relationship that Senator McConnell and the President have?
Absolutely. I mean,
so really, that's what we're talking
it
about.
is. I mean,
is,
this
is really
situation,
high, the highest level of politics
it's so
in the
political.
country.
It's so political, and it makes me feel like our community's a pawn on a big chessboard, and it shouldn't be that way. It can't be that way, and we're not going to let it be that way. I mean, we're going to light a fire under DOE, and we want something to happen here in Paducah. We've got too many people losing jobs that need those answers.
Is there anything that people watching this program on the cable system or on the city's website on YouTube that they could do to help this process? Communication with...
They can write a letter, they can email, you know, their inboxes need to be gummed up with so many emails coming from this community demanding that we get those cleanup dollars, that those people out there don't leave our community, because headhunters are already out looking, approaching some of those engineers for other positions. A gentleman that comes to my salon has already accepted a job in Louisiana, so they're already leaving our community, and those are, I mean, that's just mind drain for Paducah. We need that talented, trained, those talented, trained people here.
Who do they contact? I suspect that Congressman Whitfield and Senator McConnell already know that this community supports...
Secretary Menez, they need to...
Is that the Secretary
of Energy?
Energy?
I'm sure that Charlie Martin at Paducah Economic Development could give people those addresses. As a matter of fact, I think, Tom, as we're talking, we need to, and we've talked about setting up a website, Charlie and the Chamber working together to set up a website to, so people could go there and see what we're doing, what we're, as we move along each week and each month, what we're accomplishing, and to give them the information to contact those people.
That would
so hopefully we'll have that up in the next couple of weeks.
That certainly would be a good source of information for people who are wondering what's going on. So now it's a waiting game. I say we, Paducah, McCracken County has made our feelings known, and so we just have
Not
to...
enough.
Really?
We haven't made them known enough. I mean, it really worries me that I want us to have some national press on this. I mean, I just feel like they don't get the sense of urgency that we have here in this community.
Right, and with, you know, the promise of job creation, it seems like this is anti what the administration has said that they want for America is to create jobs, and this is an energy that is not, you know, it's not overutilized, certainly, so.
So, you know, trying to get GE here, that would be a long-term jobs for the community, not as many, but we're talking 40 to 60 years out, that would be employment. It would be...
Well, let's clean up first, right?
No, they can, GE can build their plant right outside the fence. There's a piece of property identified, and having the tails there that they could use, that's like cash to them. Department of Energy has said they'll turn that over to them, and then they've said, well, maybe not. So, you know, we don't know where the Department of Energy is coming from.
It was reported on the radio just in the last couple of days that there's actually been some nuclear waste shipped into the Paducah site. Do you know if that's true?
Who knows what's true?
They're not saying then.
I always say I feel like I'm in a spy novel and I've got a great cast, but I don't know what the plot is.
Well, I'd like for you to, you know, I hope the website comes up quickly, but if not, we'll get you back in here and give us updates on this, because this is one of the most important issues in our community in a long time is the possible job loss and closing of a plant.
And I can update people at the commission meetings, and the county judge can also do that at his meetings.
Right. Well, that's a heavy issue. What else have you been dealing with and are dealing with as we are speaking now?
Job creation. We're working hard to, with Paducah Economic Development, to create more jobs in this community.
Didn't we have a groundbreaking?
Yesterday
Yeah.
was exciting to have Whitehall here. The first 150 manufacturing jobs that's been in this area and forever.
What do they do?
It's an aluminum extrusion plant, and they make parts for automobiles, for Tesla, for Ford. There's a couple of other car manufacturers that they work with. And car manufacturing in the whole state of Kentucky is at a pretty high level. I think we have 81 car manufacturing plants in the whole state. So we're hoping that they're moving here and someone will follow them that will maybe do the same type of manufacturing process. City and county work really well together on these jobs because we know that that's so important, especially with losing the jobs out at the plant, that we've got to get more here. The call center will open probably the end of the year, first part of next year. Now those are entry-level jobs. I know they're not the kind of jobs that you can support a family on, but it's a good for a wife or a husband to have employment, and they do offer benefits.
So
and then we have
successes.
Mako. It's a pharmaceutical company that will be moving into the spec building in the industrial park. That'll be about 80 jobs, average paid jobs with benefits. So, I just have to give Chad Chancellor so much credit. I mean, he's worked very hard. Chad understands what it's like to grow up with a father that works very hard and struggles. And so he's great for economic development because it's close to his heart. He understands it.
So, as I said, we've had several businesses commit to come in, and heard the aluminum plant, the manufacturing plant, the owner was on the radio and said they hope to be in operation by December of this year, so that will be good, and I assume they'll be hiring. Do they have to construct a building?
Yes, and that's a private partnership there to build that building with Kenny Hunt, Tony Reck, and there may be a few others that privately are building that building. It will be paid back by Whitehall. So, it's so good to have the private sector step forward and be part of the city and county and job creation. That's the way it really should work. City and county can't do everything.
Right.
We have to have folks in the community that understand the importance of keeping Paducah a vital community.
Well, and really, the city and the county don't really create jobs other than hiring staff.
Right.
We
support PED.
Right. You support those who go out and try to get people in.
Right.
And PED, that's changed. Didn't that used to be like GPEDC?
Right, Greater
like
Paducah Economic Development. They haven't legally changed their name yet, but they're going to be called Paducah Economic Development.
Okay. So that's a term that I've just learned in the last couple of days. I didn't know they were changing their name. And
They've moved into a new facility, the old Freight House on 3rd Street. Okay. Beautiful. And tomorrow, the Chamber PED is having an open house. They're having an open house from 4 to 6, and the public is invited to come by and see that building.
By the time this is on the air, that will have already happened, but it will be open, and they can go by and see it in a later
If you went
day.
by, I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, thanks for going by and tell us how nice it was. A little bit different topic here, but I have talked to Commissioner Galt and Wilson in the last few days, and I was wondering, has there ever been a time when there are 3 women on the commission at one time?
I don't believe so. I think 2. Mayor Montgomery, I don't know if she had a female commissioner. I think only 2 at a time.
I don't remember that.
Commissioner Galt and I for a while.
And you are only in the history of Paducah the 3rd
female
mayor? You think that's good, right?
It's good.
So we are progressive in our hiring, and the people that are that elect our officials just hope to get the best person for the job.
I do think Paducah's progressive, and I have some people they think maybe that's a bad word. You know, they'll say, what is progressive? And I always say progressive is people that are willing to take a chance. That's
Well,
what being
it
progressive.
has been co-opted in the political circles
Right.
now to mean they've stopped saying liberal and started
Right.
saying progressive because liberal got to be a bad word, but progressive is just moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I like to think we're part of a community that's moving forward. Speaking of that, you recently came through an issue that was very passionate with a bunch of folks in the community. Everybody that I know of loves the murals.
Mm-hmm.
And so that issue seems to be now put to rest. And what's gonna happen now with the murals? First of all, why do they need restoring? And then what's going to happen in the next few years to see that gets done?
Well, the flood wall murals are very important to the community. So important that when our city planner, Tom Barnett, came back from a trip to Chattanooga and Evansville with the proposal that we put a demountable flood wall system at the river so that you could actually see the river and move all of those murals to a park, people showed up, not literally, but with pitchforks and fire. I mean, you know, they're very, very protective of those flood wall murals, and it's because they show the history of Paducah, and they're beautiful. And Robert Dafford was commissioned by the Mural Advisory Board at that time when Albert Jones was mayor to do those murals. And he designed them. He's copyrighted those. They can't be reproduced in any way without his permission. I spoke with Robert yesterday and told him that I felt confident that we could work something out last night, and we did. We compromised. We came to a conclusion because he agreed. When I talked to him, he said, I'm coming to Paducah. And I said, I think that's very important that you yourself come to Paducah. So he's coming down on the 3rd or 4th, and he said the problem they have with those murals, he doesn't know it's not just the sun. They get a tremendous amount of west sun, but he said there's something about the, he said, I don't know if it's the mineral content of the flood wall, the concrete in the flood wall, that make them degrade a little bit quicker than some of the other places that I work. He has about 400 plus murals all over the country, and they're doing a coffee table book on his work and his life, and Paducah will be featured in that book. A photographer's coming with him in July, so I look forward to having him here working on those murals.
And so he's going to come down, and I know that there's special processes that he uses because when they were first painted, they had to seal them in a certain way so
they
that
clear coat them.
And so that kind of does, in case there's any kind of vandalism or anything, that they're not destroyed by just a quick act of vandalism. So how many will he be restoring this year?
3.
And is this going to be an ongoing?
2 of them are total. Well, it's been an ongoing maintenance since the inception of the murals, because of the intense sun that causes cracking. If you'll look closely at some of those, the cracking. They do a yearly inspection. Mark Thompson and Herb or Robert come here and do a yearly inspection to see what the murals need. He says he hopes he's gotten them to a point after this year that they won't require quite as much maintenance. The first murals that were done, they used a different type paint that didn't hold up quite as well, so they've changed the paint as they've progressed down the wall to the Carson Center.
Well, I know that typically when people have guests come in from out of town, one of the first things that they want to do is take them downtown, show them our city, and then of course the flood walls, because that's not something that every community has, and so I'm glad that we're going to keep them in good shape. The other issue one of the other issues downtown that I think people really are interested in is, are we ever going to get that motel that we hope will be attached to the convention center? What do you think? You think we're going to get that?
I don't want to sound like Mayor Paxton. I know he.
Well,
you
he
know,
pretty much, the last time I interviewed him, he was like, we pretty much have it. And the commissioners have all kind of said there are things that have to be worked out before that. And at any point, things can be derailed. So is that kind of where we are?
We're really, really close. And we've given them until July the 15th. We have to have a letter from the bank by the July the 15th. I'll tell you that.
Okay. I can see that you don't want to talk about that anymore, and so we'll move on. What other issues are important to you right now? Quality of life. Are we doing well? The riverfront. I guess you have to wear so many hats that sometimes it's hard to know which one to put on.
We finally, after all of these years, 6 years, are finally putting rocks in the river and finally getting started on the boat launch. And the boat launch will give us the capacity to have more tournaments here. It will be so much easier for people that love to pleasure boat and fish on the river to put their boats in the water without having someone stay in the truck or put the truck with the emergency brake to get your boat into the water. And then it almost takes 2 people now at the foot of Broadway. But with the facilities they're doing off of Burnett, 1 person can easily do it. It'll have about 80 parking places for boats and trailers. We did have to do a covering over the brand new Greenway Trail, which upset a few people, but it was the only way we could protect that for the heavy equipment moving over it. And we had to complete that section of the Greenway Trail or lose the money. So the boat launch was supposed to have been finished first, but with all of the with the mussel issues, the environmental issues, the permitting, it just didn't work that way.
Right.
We don't live in a perfect world.
Just another example of how you would like for things to work, and then you find out and you learn how they really do work. So,
people will ask me, do you really like being mayor? I'll have more people ask me that. Well, what do they want me to say?
well, what do you say?
So I say, well, yes. I said, things come up. There are situations that come up that are frustrating, but there are situations just in everyone's life. That's just life, Tom. And you deal with it and you move on.
And that's the last word. We are out of time, and I thank you very much for being here with me today, and I hope you'll come back anytime that you have an issue or communication.
Maybe we can do some shows.
Sounds good to me. Sounds good to me. And thank you for joining us today. You've been watching City Profile. I'm Tom Butler. Join us again next time.